And Dr. Kinch is going to make a few comments now about our Rasco Bond Davis Creative Writing Program that he has so graciously judged and managed over the years. And as he will say, tonight we're going to have, the reading is going to be kicked off by some of our young poets. So, Dr. Kinch.
Good evening. The Rasco Bond Davis Poetry Competition began in the 1990s, and I've been judging it since 2002. For a long time, we had the contest, both the story contest and the poetry competition, in May, and handed out the awards on Honors Night. In the last couple of years, we've moved the poetry competition to April to coincide with the National Poetry Month, and also to allow our visiting writer to judge the finalists, and it's worked out really well. Tonight, I'm very impressed with the three winners. But from the start of this contest, I've been impressed with the variety, the energy, and the inventiveness of the entries that we get from MBAs. It's a testament to how much creativity is buzzing around this campus. We are going to read the three winners in reverse order, starting with third place, Jackson Cole, second place, John Mello, and first place, Macklin Davis. We invite the writers to come up, make sure they tell you the title of their poem, and then just rip into it. So we'll start with Jackson Cole.
Hey, my poem is called Green Branches Cast Green Shadows. I knocked on the white, cracked door to my eldest sister's room. An answer, unexpectedly warm, was heard. I had come to expect answers less kind in my 6 years, though the situation called for more careful handling. Her door was opened, and her green room was revealed. Walls of green, a bed frame of rusted metal, old cabinets with tops covered in melted candles, paint from passionate projects splattered on the floor, shelves of books describing events centered around youth, all gloomy in nature, a stereo in the corner known for playing, yet mostly blasting, music from Tegan and Sarah or Ani DeFranco. A window consistently being scraped by an outside tree, casting green shadows on the wall. We sat on her paint-stained floor as she decided to show me her favorite movie, Nightmare Before Christmas. Looking around the room and looking back at her, I realized I wanted to pretend to be different from everyone else.
My poem is called Caught in a Storm. Let not your heart be troubled by the rumbling in the air, the nervousness, nay reticence of that first drop that dares to touch your face, roll down your cheek, and settle on your chin. Cannot do justice to the tempest, fury that's within, the clouds on the horizon that light up the summer dusk, accelerate o'er the landscape in meetings just as brusque as that first drop that touched you to confirm your being there, till it was lost in the ardor of wind and whipping hair. What better way to find yourself than in a storm?
All right. This poem is tries to describe how I feel when I meet someone for the first time. It's called Larry, Queen of Scouts. He outscouted me. He doubted me. He drowned me in a pit of wrinkling fire. He left me to drown in a pool of water. He left me alone at the store. He left me saying more to say. He knew all this, but he left me anyway. He outdoubted me. He remembered to say, there is a me in team. He loved to say, atrocity plus genocide equals generosity. He loved me. He knew no one else but me. He said, one time I didn't know nobody but you. He made me sad. He said, you sat in the corner watching the wind in the room. He said something like it made him sad or something to that effect. He said it made him sit alone, saddening others in the corner of the room. He took himself on reconnaissance tracking trips to the corner of the room. He outscouted me. He knew what to say and when to say it. He took me away. I watched. a blastful firing witness, a life's worth of working wasted to witness at a trial, a woe man's band, the judge and the jury, the sound and the fury. I drive a Volvo and live in Indiana, he said. I've lived there forever, he said. Luckily, I had seen him living right here in this very room. All we've got to do there is drink till we're asleep, he said. And all else is to drink ourselves awake, he said. Luckily, I had been several times to the bottom of the pool. I watched a lingering, blistering twister ripping up the dirt and brick and mortar high schools, an old fiend's hand, a palm reader's digest, dressed like Dallas's finest. They emptied my pockets at the precinct, he said. They took me away, a number in an expanding book, he said. Luckily, I was the prison chaplain. Her name was Janet the Planet, he said. She said, there's youth in euthanasia. He said, she said. Luckily, I was aging faster every day. And the next day. And the next day. And the next day. Halt. Proceeds are herded to the left. Antecedents to the right. Today's the day we make things right. Tonight's the night that Mike makes right. Hold up your hands. The palmist will sing the cantos. And a bibulus Alberti holds court in Vespucci's Astrobabe, a boy toy for the deviant explorer. But before that, and before that, and before that, I always would wash my Volvo on days like this, he said. What a day for relishing the pop culture, he said. Unfortunately, the Rock Records Burning Fest was a smashing success. With a clop and a hop, the horse made it home, he said. A horse is a chorus of racketing bones, he said. Unfortunately, Caligula's legacy was my dying wish. I watched as a slender, dog-eared page spun down from the tree. It said, for a burning wood is come to dance inane. I stood pensively and thought myself to tears. For a good-hearted, dog-torn page, such a slender tear, I thought. Over the years, I've learned to love the barroom scuffle, he said. I try my hardest and come out somewhere in the middle, he said. Unfortunately, the middle of the road is an unbearable stream to ford. And life starts here at a bungalow in Bloomington, he said, and rife with fear at a turnaround in Evansville, he said. Unfortunately, he drove a Volvo in Indiana. I watched us talk into the night, Mashaka growing dim at 4 p.m., and I was reading a pamphlet on understanding the U in eukaryote, when suddenly I flashed back in the bed of an empty T-2000, the great 4 p.m. flashlight, crashing right through the grinding doors. He gave me the runaround. He said, favor for favor, bro. He said, give me the time to make time for you. He took me for a ride. He acted like it was better to slide than hide from failure. He knew I was grasping the railing out of fear, not necessity, but he diatribed anyway. He crushed like an executive ka-ching. He knew the window paned from his stare. He knew a name from the air. He wasn't like you and me. He outsmarted me. He outsmarted door-to-door religious salespersons. He cursed the purse-carrying preacher with his own deal with God. He turned and tossed in cold Vermont sleep. He outscouted you. He turned the tables anew. He rarely went by Larry. He always wills what he will do. He very much knows to flirt with cordial invitations. A circular twist on an old world trick. A bit like two sticks making fire.